not going to be speaking a lot from experience. I've been fortunate to lead FP&A transformation at Guardian Industries and now at Owens Corning, two big global manufacturing companies. And it's an area that it's really exciting for me because I really see how much value us as financial professionals can bring to the organization if we get this right. So hopefully I'll be able to give some good tips for you guys to implement in your organizations. As Arslan said, and there's going to be some overlap obviously on what I'm going to explain, but to me everything starts with a strong foundation. And the foundation always goes back to sitting down with the different functions, understanding the business and working with them to identify what are the key profitability drivers. What are those things that really matter, and focus on those. You'll see that there's a lot of KPIs once you sit down with those guys, and your job is going to be explaining to them how those impact our financial performance, and then decide which ones are the ones that we really should focus on, track, and model for our financial models. It is very important. We all know that we have limited resources, and the key is to understand how to deploy those resources to have the maximum impact. So identifying those key profitability drivers to me is foundational. Then what we do with those is basically we link those drivers to the actual financial performance. We want to use models that do the work for us. We don't want to have to start grabbing those inputs and then put them in somewhere. We have technology that allows us to create these models. The most simple one is Excel, but as we think about efficiency and scalability on big organizations, you're going to see there's many other superior tools than Excel to accomplish that. By linking those drivers to the financial performance, we're just going to be finding ourselves explaining what actually happened and what may happen once you start thinking about future forecasting or scenarios. What may happen to our financials as we tweak or change or expect different inputs for those drivers. When we then look at the actual financial performance, we're not going to be talking to our business partners in terms of, oh, our revenue went up, as Arslan said. No, we're going to be able to say our revenue went up because either my volume went up, or I got a superior mix on my products, or basically I drove pricing up. Or even in the case of multinational organizations, we have an FX impact, whether good or bad, in our foreign sales. Same thing we can apply to our revenue, our earnings walk, right? We have different impactors of EBITDA or earnings depending on what measure you use, and we can look at those in terms of KPIs that make sense to our business partners. So if our variable cost goes up, we're going to be able to see how much of that is result of usage or efficiency or a result of inflation of those inputs. That becomes very powerful because that gives us the right to sit at the table and to provide insight. At the end of the day, by telling the story, we're providing insight, and then we will be able to earn our rights and be more, let's say, influential on our insights. And that should be our goal, to become influential, to provide insight, and be a voice at the table. Can you go to the next slide, please, Olga? Because once we have the foundation, then the key is how to leverage that foundation in order to become a more agile business, and how we can react to what's happening in the world in a fast way, because that is becoming, especially in a volatile environment, that we have a competitive advantage. So we have the foundation. We leverage technology in order to spend more time looking at the results and not so much time about data aggregation and computing, and then we can become more agile. And one of the key areas for agility to me is the ability to build different scenarios. To me, the time where we spend 3-4 months putting together one operations plan or business plan for the following calendar year, those times to me are gone. I mean, we find ourselves in a situation where 1 month into the calendar year, we find our ops plan to be obsolete. And that is because so many of the assumptions are different than what we thought they were back in, I don't know, August, September, where we're putting together those plans. So to me, the key for agility is, yes, we can have a base scenario that we consider our ops plan, but the key to me is, since we have the foundation and we are able to produce different scenarios by tweaking our input assumptions and do that in an efficient way, we can then have a range of outcomes already ready to go. It's kind of like, my playbook in terms of sports. What if this happens? This is how we should react. We found ourselves in a similar situation back at Guardian when we had to decide what plans to keep running during COVID, and we were looking at different options based on supply, based on demand, based on now we're looking at energy costs to decide which furnaces are more efficient and which aren't. So it becomes to a point where if energy goes up to certain levels, we know which assets should be we should consider to idle, and which assets should take that supply. So having all that ready gives us the ability to react to changing reality a lot faster. And I know Lauren's going to talk a lot more about scenario management, but to me is one of the things that it's critical. Again, you can only do that only if you have a strong foundation. You understand the drivers, you connect those drivers to financial performance, you leverage technology in order to be able to process those different scenarios without a lot of effort, and then have the discussion with the key stakeholders in your company to decide those plans, what's going to be base, what's going to be contingency, and be ready for what reality holds for you. That's what I've seen working in my organizations, and I think that that is the key of connected FP&A in the modern world. It's a great opportunity, guys, to become business partners and have a place at the table. So I invite all of you to get into the journey.